A lot of chronic diseases in our animals these days. Same for humans. 45% of dogs over the age of 10 will die of cancer, and cancer accounts for nearly 50% of all disease-related pet deaths each year, which is the leading cause of death. And I can certainly attest to that. I see a lot of that in my practice. So as you can see, we are dealing with a lot of issues. And when we look at the pet health report from Banfield, they actually pooled some numbers between 2006 and 2011, and they found that just in that period of 5 years, that a lot of diseases have significantly increased, including diabetes, dental disease, arthritis in cats has gone up 67%. That's huge. And obesity as well. So a lot of diseases have increased in a very short period of time. And, we have to always ask, why is that? Why do we have such large amounts of diseases? And why do they increase so significantly in just such a short period of time? I'm sure we can blame it on diet and everything, but why it doesn't explain it. So that obviously brings me to today's subject of toxicity. And there's another graph here that I wanted to briefly go over with you, is that there's been a significant increase of pet cancer incidents just in the last 17 years. And you can see that it mostly started kind of in the later 90s, where there's been like a jump up in cancers. And, to be honest, when I was in vet school, we didn't really talk a lot about cancer. In fact, I didn't even remember that we had a lecture about it. I did find it though, but, in my papers, in my boxes, but in any case, it was really not a huge subject, and animals were dying more of just old age rather than cancer. And nowadays we see a lot of animals that do have cancer. So there's been a 23-fold increase just in the last 17 years. And, what happened during that time? Well, to maybe explain that jump, in 1994, GMOs were hitting the store. And at the same time, there's also been a significant increase in glyphosate use, because that's what, GMO foods are good, bred for, basically, is to resist glyphosate and other pesticides. So nowadays, we have a lot of chemicals, on this planet. So just since World War II, there have been 50 million new chemicals put out on the market, and many of those are carcinogenic. But only about 85,000 of these chemicals are actually listed in the Toxic Substances Control Act. So, there are a lot more than, what meets the eye. Every year there are 2,000 new chemicals that are being produced and put out there. So we basically now exceed the natural ability of the body to be able to detoxify, and we are living in a very unnatural environment. And in fact, a lot of these toxins that we're now exposed to, the body does not even recognize as toxic because they are so foreign to the body and the liver. So a lot of times these toxins cannot be detoxified all that well. So when we look at the current situation, in the 1940s, we had just a few pounds or kilograms that were of chemicals that were used, and now we're kind of up to 200 plus billion pounds of chemicals that are or kilograms actually, that are being put out into the world every year. So it's a huge, huge change, and the body has not been able to adjust to that. So anyways, I'm going to stop sharing here. Always something. Anyway, so I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about the different toxins that, we are exposed to, and make some, important points. toxins affect not just one generation. It's not just us that are, affected to it. And it's really affecting 3 generations down, because it creates epigenetic change in our genes. So basically it turns on certain genes and they turn off certain other genes, and that is actually passed on from the mother to the child, and then down further generations. So there are a lot of toxins, a lot of generations that are being affected. And I don't know if you guys ever watched the Pottinger cats or looked into that study. I'm not going to go into that. That's all in my video series as well for more information on that. But you can see that it took several generations for the recovery, even after just one generation of being fed an unhealthy diet. And the study was done in, I think it was the 1940s, where, as you could see or not see, in that, as a matter of fact, you couldn't see the slides. But anyways, in the 1940s, a lot of toxins were, there was a lot less toxins. So everything is a lot worse now. And so it's even more important to feed them a good diet. And we have much less leeway as far as not feeding them what they really need, and not doing, not being proactive. We just don't really have that, that leeway to do that nowadays in this world. In this world, it takes a lot to now really stay healthy, and you can't just. We can't get away with things, I guess, is what I should say. So nowadays, the average body has about 700 different toxins, and in cord blood from newborns, they found that they had over 200 toxins. And the thought was that toxins don't cross the placenta into the fetus, but that's not true. So our animals are already being born loaded with toxins. And with each generation, that gets worse. And because our animals don't have the same lifespan as we do, the turnaround is much faster. So we have more and more generations, and they are more, sicker and sicker and sicker. So that may also be why we see more animals getting sick more quickly. At least that's what I'm seeing in my practice. And a lot of diseases that we try to treat, especially cancer and allergies and autoimmune diseases, they're becoming more and more difficult to treat just because the body is so compromised. So, I also kind of want to say right here that I know that you all are doing everything that you possibly can for your animals. And if things don't quite show up the way you hoped, please don't judge yourselves, because we are just living in an environment that's not conducive to health. And sometimes, no matter how much we do, it's not enough. So I just want you guys to be very gentle with yourselves when it comes to that. Because I do see, talk to a lot of clients, and, they beat themselves up very harshly. So please don't, because the animals don't really like that either, because they know that you love them and that you're doing the best that you possibly can. So be very gentle with yourselves, while still doing what needs to be done, obviously.